Hey guys, it's Kesara, and today I'm going to be doing a review for the Boneships by R.J. Barker. I did receive a free e-arc of this book provided by the publisher Orbit via Netgalley in exchange for an honest review. So The Boneships by R.J. Barker is the first book in a new fantasy series which is being released on September 24th, 2019. I feel so privileged to have the chance to read this book early. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely different for me because I recently got really into maritime sort of fantasy, and The Boneships is definitely one of those types of fantasy books. It takes place in this archipelago society, so it's just a bunch of different islands. There's no land mass or continent or something like that. And their society is called the 100 Isles, and they make ships out of bones of basically extinct dragons. They call them Arachesians, but they're old dragon bones basically that they use to make ships that are stronger than ships made of wood, which with all of the different things in the waters in this society that can attack the ships, it's definitely really necessary that they have these stronger ships. And they also use these ships to raid the Gaunt Islanders, which are their neighbors that they are constantly at war with. So the main character of this novel is Joran Twiner, who is second in command to Lucky Mia's on the ship Tidechild, which is a ship of the dead. So the crew of the ship has all been sentenced to death for one reason or another, and they are serving on the ship until their sentence is carried out. Basically, they say until they meet the Sea Hag, which is basically kind of like their goddess of death. Pretty early on in the story, we find out that an Arachesian has been spotted, and our main characters, Joran and Mia's, are on a quest to find this Arachesian. I hope that's how you pronounce that, because I did not have the audiobook, so I have no idea how you pronounce that. So generally in these types of reviews, I talk about four things. First, I start with characters, then I move on to plot, then world building, and lastly, author's writing style. I did read an unproofed copy of the book, so I will not be talking at all on grammar or anything like that, but I do have some comments on specifically style that I will be talking about. So we will get started with characters. So our main character, Joran Twiner, I absolutely loved. I absolutely loved this character. I think he was very well developed. He had a really great backstory that was very interesting, that was relevant to the plot and created complications that I wasn't really expecting. And I really loved that about his character. I also really liked his character growth because at the beginning of the novel, he was very much still almost like a boy because I think he's 19 years old or something like that. He grows into a very well-trained officer, and I liked that side of it. I also really like the decisions and the choices that Joran makes because he's very loyal, but at the same time, he's very ethical about what he's doing and how he thinks. And I just really like him as a character. He's just an all-around good character that I enjoyed reading from. Then we have the character of Lucky Mia's, and she is interesting. I didn't actually like her. I feel like I should have liked her. She was one of those characters that they wanted you to like, but I didn't. And it was just because she's kind of arrogant, and she goes out of her way to teach Joran lessons and stuff like that, which I understand he had a lot to learn, but at the same time it felt a little patronizing at times. But overall, I did enjoy reading her. I do like unlikable characters at times, so I did enjoy her overall. There are a few other characters. Danelle, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but Danelle, they call it deck holder, basically kind of the third in command. I really enjoyed Danelle as well, and especially how he interacts with Joran, and his character arc was so good. Really loved his character arc, especially the ending. I'm not gonna say what it is. The ending, his character at the end made the book for me. If you read this book, which you probably haven't because let's face it, this is really early, but if you have read this book, you know what I'm talking about. And the only other character that I really want to talk about is not human, and that's the Gulame. Hope that's how you pronounce it. I really have no idea how to pronounce that. It's like a bird sort of thing, but like can control the wind. And just the way the Gulame thinks and its backstory and stuff like that, perfect. Really, really enjoyed that. So definitely, if you want to read this book, like, it's gonna be fantastic. Pay attention to the Gulame. Very important character that I absolutely enjoyed reading. So just generally overall, I think the characters were really well done. I enjoyed the development of these characters, especially Joran and Danil, and I'm definitely excited to see what happens in the next book with these characters. So the next thing I like to talk about is plot. And the plot is not the type of plot that I would typically read, mostly because I generally like overly complex, very political plots that you kind of have to guess and figure out what's going on and what's going to happen next and things like that. And this one, while there is politics at play, I feel like it's a relatively simple plot-wise. It's a lot of action, which, while I do love action, is not generally my thing. And there's like a lot of simple plot twists, though the ending did get me and I really enjoyed the ending. But overall, I do think the plot is a little bit simpler than I would typically read. And I do think specifically the development of the crew and their cohesion, I feel was just a little too easily done. I feel like there should have been more complications there, because at the beginning it really hinted at a lot of different possible complications that kind of never really came to pass. Like, they came to pass a little bit. It didn't make as much of an impact as I was hoping for it to make. The next thing I want to talk about is the world building, and I feel like the world building is what will make or break this book for you. I absolutely love intense, deep world building that is very well developed. And this book has that. Like, the different types of names and things in the book, so well done. I absolutely love like that it's a matriarchal society. Like, the way the author does the world building, he doesn't actually like lay it all out for you, but he gives it to you in subtle bits that you can really feel like you're just dropped into this world and you have to figure it out as if you were just a person in this world. So there are a lot of different things with the world building. For example, the captains of the ships are called shipwives. The second in command is the deck keeper, and then, like I said, the deck holder is the third in command. And there's just like different things like that. Fertility is like one of like the most important things in this society. So the women are kind of the rulers of the society, and then the women that have had the most children is like the higher rulers and the higher nobility of the society. So the ruler of the 100 Isles is the 13 Burn, because she's had 13 children, who also happens to be Lucky Mias's mother, which is fantastic. That is a fantastic complication that I really enjoyed. There's just so many intricate details like that throughout the book that I absolutely enjoyed it. That being said, I can completely understand where the world building would be difficult for some people, because I personally love really well-built worlds that just kind of toss you in and make you figure it out. If you don't read a whole lot of high fantasy, this one might be a little bit more difficult for you. It's definitely high fantasy advanced, not even intermediate. I would definitely say advanced, just because how in-depth the world building is, and there's very little explanation of all of things. You kind of just have to figure it out as you go. So it can be difficult for some people if you're not used to reading high fantasy. And last but not least, we're going to talk about writing style. I didn't have a whole lot of issues with it. It wasn't overly flowery. It was very much to the point and things like that. I did like the fight scenes. I think the fight scenes were really well done, and you really got to feel the emotion specifically in Joran and what he was going through during those scenes. I think they were really well written. I have one little pet peeve, and it's gonna sound super petty. The author goes out of the way to say women and men as opposed to men and women. So like I kind of understand where he's coming from, kind of showing like it's a matriarchal society, they put women first, and I understand that. One of the main characters, Lucky Mia's, also says girls and boys a lot. It doesn't bother me when she says girls and boys. Like, I think part of that is because I can attribute it to the character. It's like a quirky character thing for her. But over and over, there's the phrase women and men, women and men, women and men, like over and over, which I got used to it after a while. But at the very beginning, it would throw me off every single time. And it's just like one of those little things where we as a society, we're a patriarchal society, and we almost always say men and women or boys and girls. We always put the male version first, with the exception, of course, with ladies and gentlemen, because in polite society, ladies come first, right? But like in this book, it went out of the way to say women and men. And I just felt like there were times when there were just easier, less wordy phrases that could have been used that wouldn't have taken me out of the story, like saying the people, each person, or the crew, or something like that, where it would go out of the way to say women and men, and it would just like pull me out of the action of the story for a second for me to go, wait, hold on. Okay, let me go back in. Just because the phrase just always caught my attention because I'm used to it being backwards. Yeah, so that's really all I had about that. The other little thing, which I probably should have mentioned in character maybe, Lucky Mia's has this way about her. There's these just scenes where she's trying to interact with the crew and rile them up that just felt very much like a sports team. It didn't really ring true for me the way it was done. And that would happen like a few times in the novel, like every like couple of chapters in like the middle chunk of the novel, they would have a scene like that, and I just found it kind of boring. But other than that, I really, really enjoyed the writing overall in this book. So overall, I decided to give this book 4 stars. Definitely really enjoyed it. I'm excited to read other books by this author. I plan on going back and trying out his first series that he wrote. I don't actually know what it's called, but I will definitely be looking that up soon. I'm definitely excited to see what you guys think about this book. So if you guys end up reading this book, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to discuss it with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I post videos frequently on this channel, so consider subscribing. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.